I'm very excited to welcome everybody to talk about the Medical Science Academy. This is a new initiative and a new program here at Barnegat High School. And for those of you in the audience, we are recording the Barnegat BRAG. We've been meaning to record the BRAG on a regular basis. We haven't archived these wonderful presentations, and we've been doing them for over 2 years now, close to 3, I guess, at the board level. And we really would like to make them available to the community who can't be here. So I thank you in the audience for coming to see what things are all about. But for the people who can't be here, we want them to hear about the wonderful things happening in our schools as well. So, Mr. Scotto.
Thank you, Mrs. Wood. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Sarno, members of the Board of Education, members of the public, and the staff. Thank you for allowing us to be here this evening for another Barnegat BRAG. And this evening, we're here to talk to you about the Healthcare Collaborative, what we call the BHS Medical Science Academy, and to give you a little information. I just want to point out that I'm co-presenting this evening with our District Supervisor of Math Science, Mrs. Joanne Long, and 2 students who are a part of the Academy, Danielle Nahas and Nicholas DeSico. Did I pronounce that right? Good. I would be remiss if I didn't point out that there's some behind-the-scenes people that could not be here this evening. One is our medical science coordinator and teacher of science here at Barnegat High School, and that's Dr. Desislava Domova, and our high school principal, Mr. Stephen Nichol. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how we began. It started with an initiative where we had seen that there was some student interest in the area of medical and health sciences a few years ago when we did a drill-down report on the PSAT scores for our students. Also with some conversations with our counseling staff, our faculty, our administrative staff, we saw that there was a need. And best practice is also aligning the initiatives with the need of the students. So we decided, well, it would be our responsibility to do some homework. So what we did was we took a little trip and we went up to Monmouth County where I live and we visited Neptune High School that has a very similar model. Now they are in a different situation because Jersey Shore Medical Center is in their backyard. But what we did was we took some great takeaways from that site visit and I think we went for a cup of coffee afterwards and we sat down and we're like, this could work in Barnegat. This could totally work in Barnegat because we have kids that are interested in learning about this, and we also know that we want to provide our kids with greater college and career readiness experiences. So what we did was we met with Barnabas Health. We went to Community Medical in Toms River and talk about feeling very honored. So we're sitting with all the big shots of the hospital. And we're in there and we're presenting what we would like to do, and they're asking questions, and it was pretty intense. It was a very powerful experience for me as a leader to sit and advocate for student need outside of the walls of a school district. That was a first for me, and it was very well received. And so there we are. We're sitting there. And we're hoping that. Do you think they'll say yes? Do you think they'll want to work with us? And before we left, we were shaking hands and swapping contact information to move forward with this. The next thing was, and I have to thank our Board of Education for supporting this partnership because without you, we wouldn't have been able to move forward with this. So that's a little bit about how we began. My colleague will talk to you a little bit about the partnership that we have right now with Community Medical.
So after the initial meeting, myself and Dr. Domova went for several more meetings with Barnabas, and we came up with a model for how we wanted this to run. So initially we said that we really wanted the students to get some idea of medical science content knowledge. A hospital is like a small city, and there are so many different opportunities within a hospital, way more than I could even begin to comprehend. So we really wanted them to get an experience, not just, well, I'm thinking of being a doctor, I'm thinking of being a nurse, because those are the ones that everybody thinks of first, but what about all the other professions that are out there available to them? We were adamant that whatever we did, there had to be a hands-on component, because nobody wants to sit there at 7 o'clock at night and have a lecture for 2 hours. So, after you've been in school all day. So there had to be some sort of hands-on for the students to get involved with. We really wanted them to have an opportunity to work with trained professionals. We've been very lucky. The people who have volunteered their time from Barnabas Health include the head of IT, their senior pharmacist, their nurse trainer. We've had respiratory technicians, we've had the dietary services manager. So we've had a whole host of healthcare professionals who have just given their time freely in the evening to provide the workshops for our students. And then lastly, we wanted them to have an idea about college and career readiness. So one of the components of the mini presentations has been the types of occupations that are available, what educational qualifications you need if you're interested in that, what the salary is if you're going to go down that route, what the prospects are as you move within the field. So, most of us look at, an entry-level job, and then you're looking at, well, what's next and where could it go from here? So they've tried to include that for all our students as well, which has been really beneficial because, you really don't know what you don't know until somebody points these things out. So some of the themes, some we've already had, some are yet to come. So nutrition and dietary services was the first one. Got to tell you, I didn't know the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian until I got there, but now I do. We had very entertaining radiology and respiratory services, which I know they're going to talk about. The perioperative, which included robotic surgery and central sterile services, which I think Mrs. Wood attended. The last one was medical records and IT, little sort of like off to the side, very much for anybody who's got an interest in IT and computer science. So the ones yet to come, we're going to have a workshop on things in the laboratory, particularly pathology and toxicology, as well as combined with that with OT, PT and speech. We'll have an entire session on cardiology, and the last session will be on nursing standards. The neurological sleep we may be able to combine with the cardiology. If not, it's on the back burner till next year. So, Mr. Scotto, back to you.
The goal of this was not only to address student need and provide an out of the four walls of the institution type of experience of our students, but to also provide them with the college and career experience. I think about when we were here in August with some of our interested students and families, and it was a powerful moment to talk to them about the importance of meeting deadlines, completing paperwork in a timely fashion, making sure your letters of recommendation were on time, knowing that we were going to be looking at your records, whether they be academic or disciplinary. And Mrs. Long will get into the specifics, but it was right then and there that we began the college and career experience. And what I try to impress upon the students and the parents is, in real life, this is what you do. So if you wanted to apply for a position, you'd have to submit the resume on time. You'd have to make sure that all of your qualifications were up to par. You would have to make sure that you present your information in a neat format, presentable fashion. So we also tried to create that experience as much as we could for our students. Of course, as a director of curriculum, you always have to see where this aligns with the curriculum. And in the state of New Jersey, we have various standards, and we really feel that this one aligns beautifully with this initiative, where our students are given knowledge about their own interests, their talents, they're well informed about post-secondary and career options, career planning, and career requirements. And we were able to do all of this up at Community Medical. So it was probably the best alignment I've ever seen in my career. Mrs. Long will speak to you quickly a little bit about the application requirements, because we wanted to educate everyone to let you know that as we move forward with this next year, these are some of the things that we're looking for.
So in the summer we had a meeting, parents and students were invited, anybody who had any interest, and we reviewed the application. It was a combination of an application that Barnegat created with some of our requirements for students taking part, but also the requirements from community themselves, because the students were going to have to actually take part in a volunteer program. They have some very strict requirements. Things like there is a dress code, and it's a non-negotiable. If you're a female, you can't wear makeup. You can't have nail polish on. No heavy perfume. So, it's things that you just don't think of, but all of those went into the application process. Students had to have a minimum credit requirement, so a junior had to have already completed 60 credits and a senior 90 credits. We set a GPA of 2.5. in an effort to be a more inclusive program. We did not want this to become an elitist program. It really should be open to everybody because the range of occupations that we're looking at is varied and diverse. Students are representing Barnegat schools. So when they are there, whether they have a chaperone with them or whether they are there as a volunteer, they are an ambassador for our schools. So as such, we insisted that students had to have no major disciplinary infractions. A letter of recommendation, some of our students have jobs outside of schools, so it was nice to get a letter of recommendation from a current employer. For those that didn't, then they could have a letter of recommendation from any teaching staff. They filled out their own letter of intent, their reasons why they wanted to take part in the program. A completed packet, there is a requirement to complete 50 hours of volunteer service at community as part of this program. So every student completed that on a deadline.
Thank you, Mrs. Long. So now for my favorite part, it's the student testimony. So this evening, again, we have Danielle and Nicholas here to talk to you a little bit about their experiences and their takeaways. The first thing I want to point out is this really cool picture. And I think, Danielle, you're going to narrate the first photo, correct?
So in the first photo, we had walked through, we had to wear all these suits to cover every part of our body because the area, we didn't want to contaminate it with our shoes, our hands, like our hair, because our hair holds bacteria. So we wanted to keep that protected. It was really hot in the suits, but it was really interesting to walk through those parts of the hospital where people really had to be fully covered to go in and see patients, to do their work and clean all the utensils. And I thought it was really interesting. Like, I really enjoyed that part of the tour.
The second photo is actually a picture of me. It was a different night, but something sort of similar. It's pretty much a hazmat suit. You have to wear it whenever there's a certain infection going around, if they have to do certain cleanups on any dangerous material, and it was actually pretty cool. Or literally, it's cold. It's very cold. It's air conditioned. It's a lot of fun, and it's highly recommended.
We have a quick video we'd like to show you of one of our professionals from the hospital working. Is this intubation?
Yes.
Okay.
Out a little bit. Let's see where we got. It is weird. It's supposed to be weird. But that epiglottis is what closes. There you are. Perfect. Now get that going in. Yep. Let's see. Use some good hand. Yep. Use your. Yep. Use your. Let's see. Let's get that thing down in here. Let's see where that tip is. There it is. Wow. So now you have. It's kind of like opposite of what you're trying to do.
Oh, wow, look at that.
There you go. Let's see. Let's see. There you go. Yep, push it in. Hey, there it goes. We watched it go through. The next thing that would happen would be this would come out. We have a syringe on the end of the balloon in which we would fill that up. And then going from the mask, we would be here. And then we would be able to bag the patient there. And you can actually see the lungs kind of try and inflate a little bit. The other tool that we use.
So as you can see, this is such a cool experience for our kids, for our staff to see. I also think about, from a budgetary standpoint, the cost savings that this equipment is at our fingertips to use with the trained professionals. The hospital does not charge us to come up there, so there's minimal cost for us as a district to run this program, and to have it taught real life by people that are trained in that field, I think is really powerful. I also think about the seeds that it plants in kids' minds about the future when they haven't thought about it. Not everyone has the same experience that they wake up one day and today I want to be a, right? So we wanted to make sure our kids had a full complement and menu of all the different experiences in a hospital on the front line and in the behind the scenes. So I'm going to ask my friends over here to talk a little bit about what this experience has been for them, whether it be in that situation or any time during the program.
Through the program, I knew I wanted to be a doctor before I even joined this program. That's why I did it, because I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but I know exactly what I want to be in. Through this program, I learned every single type of job that you could hold, from IT to all the way to be a surgeon, and now I know kind of exactly what I want to do. I want to go into probably surgery. But I really enjoyed how we got to do hands-on work, like as it was shown in the video. There was intubation. We got to experience like real-life things without real-life people. I thought it was very interactive. I got to learn a lot through the lectures, but then I got to do a tour, see those parts of the hospital, and it was very hands-on, and I really recommend this for anyone that wants to kind of do something that's involved with people other than being in like a school or through other like smaller offices with like side hospitals kind of.
Similar to Danielle, I've always been interested in becoming a doctor or a registered nurse. And with this, it's been a fantastic opportunity to see how a hospital works together and how all the different sections work together and cooperate. And just the professionals, the hands-on opportunities, it's been fantastic, it's been a blast. And having free and fantastic food is a fantastic bonus too.
They cater every month.
The food is very good there. I have to tell you, they gave us a very nice box lunch when we arrived. The hospital has been very kind to also make sure that the students that participate in this program are kind of put ahead of a group of people that are on a wait list to do volunteer work in the hospital. So that was a negotiated item on our part where we wanted to say, well, our students are with you. Could they have the opportunity to not only apply, but to be guaranteed the volunteerism hours that we feel they deserve? And I just think about how many things our students will get and take moving forward, whether they are graduating this year or they're juniors in the program, that they can bring to a resume, that they could bring to an interview, that they could bring to a conversation with a colleague, that they can draw upon in 10 years post-school and remember when they did certain things at Barnegat High School and at Community Medical. So I think it's been great, and I only wish that I would have had an experience. Not that I would have been a doctor, but I would have wanted to probably work in the food service industry portion of the hospital. So it's been a hard day, sorry. I had to start pre-K with my child today, so I'm a little off. But there are so many things besides medicine that make, as you talked about, that make the hospital run. Think about our district and how much goes on to make this room supported, running, facilitating, and the behind-the-scenes people that make it happen too. And I'm so glad that our students have that opportunity to walk forward and have that, whereas other kids in the county do not. So moving forward, it's very important as a teacher to reflect. So for us, we want to program reflect, and we want to revise the program, because I'm sure there were things that we said, that went really well, but next time we want to do it a little different. We want to sit down with the students when this is over and say, what are your takeaways? And what would be your messages that you'd want to share with future students? We know that we want to articulate not only with our Board of Education, but also with Community Medical. They're a key piece here. They are the other half of making this happen. And we anticipate having them back in the late spring where we can have a little bit of a recognition ceremony for all of our graduates of the Academy. And our goal, and it's a goal right now, is to look to develop a year 1 and year 2 pathway. Because our students, whether they be juniors or seniors, went through the program at the same rate with the same information. But our juniors that we would love to have apply again, we don't want them to have a duplication of these content hands-on experiences. So that's really our homework as an administrative team moving forward. So I want to thank the students. I thank you for what you do. I thank you for being up here. It's not easy to talk in front of everyone, but I always think that student testimony is one of the most important things. I want to thank Mrs. Long for tirelessly reaching out to these people all the time and trying to make these programs work. The support of our building principal, Dr. Demova, and all the behind the scenes where she's on the bus, she's reminding the kids about their conduct and their attire and their promptness and their responsibility, and that they're a Bengal when they go up there to Community Medical. And again, to thank Mrs. Wood for beginning this partnership and our board as well. Thank you very much.